Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday show. All right, what's going on now? It's been one of those days, folks. We just spent the entire pre-show trying to get Rumble to straighten out. And my avatar's broken again.
Woohoo!
This is, after the show tonight, if I'm not too tired, I am definitely going to rewrite both of these panels. Because once I got the chat working exactly the way I want, everything else seems to break. So, I don't know what it is. Anyway.
At least the names are the same. You know, that's all good.
This time, who knows about next week? Hello, everybody, and welcome
How's
to the welcome to the Wednesday show. I'm Hammer, and I'm joined by my two favorite Minions hosts, Genty Maxi.
Hello.
And Terry DeMantis.
Hello.
Sound should be working. As far as OBS is concerned, I'm sending sounds out, so I'm just going to go on with this show until somebody complains.
That's basically why I asked. I was like, well, someone will let us know really quick now.
How you doing, Jen?
I'm good.
You're good? How you doing, Terry?
Not bad. I was saying on Rumble in chat, I got a haircut and I discovered just how bad my neck is because it hurt like crazy every time he moved my head to like get a better angle.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh god, that hurts. So might be a few months before I go get another haircut. Put it off as long as possible.
I got to tell you all about my experience with cutting the grass today. Before we get into the topics, go ahead and see who's in chat tonight, starting with Rumble. THUR, Dam, hello, sweetie. Green Badger, indoors, because he's not outdoors. On Rumble. Round Hammer was at my brother in arms, Round Hammer.
Yeah.
And Kefki, hugs, Kefki on Rumble. Is that everybody on Rumble? We'll have people moving in as the night goes by. But wow, you guys were talking. I'm scrolling. Cannibalistic Wizard on Rumble.
Yeah.
Rumble chat's like taking off. You guys should spend more time on Rumble. It's fun over there. You hear me say some crazy stuff. Let's see who's on YouTube. Mr. Adam stopped by earlier. The Assassin of the Gray is out there. Kefki is also on YouTube. More hugs. Finnick's in Australia, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Mike R. Good evening, Mike R. OG Costin is out there. Hey Camel. And that's everybody on the YouTubes. So I guess I should probably explain what tonight's categories are, because even you guys didn't.
Well, I know because I read the show notes that you sent me on Twitter, but
Oh, right. Jen has to get her Twitter back before she can enjoy knowing what we're going to talk about. But
I gotta get used to having it back. I do have it back.
Oh, you do have it back?
Yeah, I only got it like maybe 2 days ago. But
I have to include you back into. Did you get the old one back, or did you put a new one?
I believe it's my old one.
Okay, well, you should be getting the show notes because you're still in the group. I don't think I removed you.
I don't always use Twitter. It was more of like, you let me actually on long enough to delete the fucking thing that got you pissed off at me in the first place. And so I did that and like, oh yeah. And then I remember now on occasion that I can actually share out streams, because for a while there I was like, nope, still can't use Twitter. Oh, look, nope, still can't use Twitter. Oh, look. And then I shared somebody's stream and I was like, oh, look, it worked. Oh, you're working now, are you? No, so.
Mike Carr says in chat, am I the one who does not have a wrench? No, there are a lot of people who don't have a wrench. They're not here yet. But that makes you special. See, everyone else is blue. You are white. And that's not racist.
His name comes up as kind of grey on my screen as opposed to the blue of a wrench.
It's well, it looks the same on the actual broadcast as it does for me. It's like a bright white. So you know what I could do is I can make people who have white have a white background. Not so that you can't read it, but just so it's a little colored. That's not racist either. So the topics for tonight. EP9. Tucker releases episode 9 onto Twitter. Episode 9 is a 2-hour besides the preamble, a 2-hour discussion with Andrew Tate,
Yeah.
talking about all the wonderful things that he's accused of, and et cetera, et cetera. Very much a very softball interview. If you haven't seen it,
Yes.
Tucker barely kisses his ass for the most part through the entire interview. He doesn't challenge him at all in anything. Doesn't ask him any pushing questions or anything like that. He just basically runs through the things that Tate would want him to say.
Yeah.
So, but it's interesting because from my perspective, it ignores all the bad things he does and only shows that the good things he does. And that's kind of important because nobody seems to know the good things he does. All they ever hear is the bad things he does because that's what the news gives you. So here's your chance to see the other side of that coin. Remember, Tucker's not showing you the heads and the tails. He's just showing you the heads. Mainstream media's been showing you the tails all along. So he's under no obligation to also show you the tails. That's how I look at it. But a lot of people who are Tucker fans are kind of like saying, dude, he softballed the guy. And he did. There's no two ways around it.
Well, I mean, yeah, he did. He did go very easy on Andrew Tate, but so that's fine.
Nothing says he has to be brutal.
He's allowed to conduct his interview the way he wants to conduct it. That's fine.
Yeah. Martha is, no one's going to recognize what I'm talking about when I use Martha as a title for the thing. There was an old 50s, you might, there was an old 50s R&B group called Martha and the Vandellas. They did a song called Heat Wave. And that's actually the topic here. Huge heat wave hits the southern USA. Temperatures up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Parts of Texas have been 110 for over a week now. So it's hot here. We're sweating. It's so hot that it's...
I thought maybe Martha was a town that was suffering in the heat wave.
Oh, yeah, that would be great if I could find a specific town. That would have been good. But, you know me, I can't link anything together. So it's been so hot that it has been in the 80s here. And for northeastern Pennsylvania in the mountains to be in the 80s for a couple days in a row, that's very unusual. Very unusual. And then finally, God, I had to put this in here because it's news, but man, I fucking hate talking about this guy. Dylan Mulvaney has decided to leave the United States. He's not here. He left the States, and good riddance. Stay wherever you went. I think he went to South America or something.
He was in Peru the last time I saw a video from him, and I'm like, you're not living in Peru and thinking that you're gonna have more trans rights than in the US, are you? Because that is magical. Please videotape all of that.
He just can't. He just can't stand the heat. Has moved out of the kitchen, so he's in wherever he is. I don't care where. As long as he's not here, I don't care. But it's all because of the Bud Light disaster. So Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch has put out yet another document about, well, I guess you'd call it a press release about the whole process. And they're kind of not apologizing again, but they're saying we shouldn't have been involved, which is correct. They shouldn't have been involved.
I don't think they understand that part of Anheuser-Busch has been a long stack of tackling down on them. First of all, yes, there was the Dylan Mulvaney thing. Then there was the bullshit advertisement. But the thing that they gotta understand is a lot of people did research on them. All of a sudden, they had all eyes on them. So one of the first things that they lost was the American beer status because they're not an American beer company, right? Like that knowledge alone was enough to really offend a lot of people. Because like, how long have you been peddling yourself as being the American beer when you're not even from our country? And I'm not American, but like that's me referring to things like. But yeah, I can understand that. Like, they also, I don't think they understand that right now. It's not just simply that they peddle the trans person. They peddle somebody who has so many ties to somebody who is like a Jeffrey March. And if you don't know that right now, the heat in the water is anybody who sniffs, even just sniffs of a little bit of pedophilia, and everybody's turning into a shark to eat you. That is what the waters are saying to you. And that's what they're responding to.
Cannibalistic,
not.
Cannibalistic Wizard says he's going to get lynched
Thank you.
on Rumble.
Yeah.
And also Mash is in chat. Hello, Mash, and Frosted Glass as well. Welcome. Oh, and Opinionated Scotsman.
I think there's a lot of things to go after Dylan for. I don't think agreeing to the Bud Light deal is one of them. He got offered money to do a thing. He accepted. Like the fault is with Budweiser, not with Dylan in this particular case. That's like if Budweiser had come up to me and said, "Here's $1 million if you know take part in our ad campaigns," like sure. Like most people would accept the money. Like I don't think you can really get too mad at Dylan specifically for being the face of the disaster. I think all the blame should go with Budweiser. There's other reasons to hate Dylan. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think this is one of them.
It's the connection between the two, though, Terry. Like, I think the thing with Budweiser is they were just willing to pick this person because he was a media influencer without being willing to even look into who it was they were picking. Oh, it's just a trans person. Oh, okay. So if they just have a gay rainbow, that's just enough for you, right? And this is the same problem that a lot of people are fighting back on. It is not simply that you are gay. It is that you have a group of people who have nothing to do with being gay, who have absolutely infiltrated your group, and as soon as they get caught in the act, they hide behind the gay shield, and it is pedophilia, it is grooming tactics, and Dylan himself might not have links to that. I think he's probably just a narcissistic ditz, but he does have links to a lot of people who maybe are.
Dylan has come out in favor of like the gender affirming care for like underage kids. So like I said, there's plenty of reasons to hate Dylan. I just don't think agreeing to a Budweiser advertising campaign is really anything that you should hold against him.
Oh, that one, no. I think the trans movement had more than like not movement, but like trans people that I know were mad at him had more than a long list of reasonable reasons to hate him.
Right, there's plenty of legitimate reasons to hate Dylan. I'm just saying that agreeing to be a Budweiser spokesperson, I don't think that he did anything wrong by agreeing to.
Oh no, that's on Anheuser. That is 100% their fault.
That's completely Budweiser's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree. This is definitely a problem with Anheuser-Busch.
I actually think they did it to each other. I think Anheuser was pulling the arrogance of being an old beer brand, thinking, well, everybody else has gone woke. It's not going to affect me because I'm like the sweetheart of America.
And just quick, because Mesh has put it in chat a few times.
I know, I saw it.
She says Dylan should have moved in with Riley Dennis in Australia. No, he shouldn't have. One of them is bad enough.
Doesn't Justin have a girlfriend?
Yeah, Neon Fiona.
Oh, you know her name? I didn't even know her name. What are you gonna say, John?
Assuming that they're still together, yeah, it was quote unquote Riley Dennis and Neon Fiona.
So she moved there with him.
Well, no, she's Australian.
She is.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know any of this.
Justin/Riley moved to Australia presumably to be with Fiona, as well as to escape Trump.
Isn't that sweet? Just escape Trump.
Yeah, I didn't like. I have the feeling that those two would never work together, ever, because their personalities would clash. Like both of them are attention seekers, and the attention has to be on them. It's part of the reason that they don't understand that them being gay, them being trans actually isn't the problem. 100% of the time, that's not really the issue people have with them. Isn't your gay status.
We got some more people in chat. Lisa's joined us from across the pond. Hello, Lisa. And your boy, Pat. How's it going, Pat? Long time, buddy.
And I have no idea if they're still together, Pat. I'm just saying if they are, that's probably why he moved to Australia.
I should probably say hello to Jack, too. Jack's here.
It's too early to end the show. Come back in an hour.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, as long as he's not in the United States. If he's in Peru, great, stay there,
Yeah,
don't come back.
yeah.
So I'm happy with
I hope
that.
he's happy there. I mean,
Yeah.
if
Yes,
he gets
yes.
better, he gets better treatment in Peru than he got in the
Maybe
States.
he'd
Then,
stay there. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Although,
You know,
like you said, it wasn't really his fault. You know, somebody came to
no,
me, like you said, somebody came to me and said, here's some money. Just, you know, we'll make a can and you can put a little YouTube video out. I'd do it too. This is entirely,
yeah,
like
of
you said,
course.
it's entirely Anheuser-Busch's issue.
Yeah,
it's also just like the clash between the two. I think it's just how big of a bang it hit, because it didn't just hit the internet, it did hit the mainstream.
Hmm.
And I think mainstream forgets that internet hits just as far as they do. We just hit different. We just hit different crowds. Like there's
yeah.
so many people on the internet who don't give a shit about the media, and just as many people who use the media don't give a shit about the internet. It's so it hit so many more eyes than it would have if it had been anyone else. So
I mean, I think Pat said it. Someone in chat said it. They were trying to appeal to the LGBT crowd, and they assumed that the core demographic that bought their beer would just stay,
mhm.
and they misjudged horribly.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
But yeah,
Well,
like I said, it caught the eyes of everybody. Like, yeah, it was just sorry you fucked up. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah,
they're still having problems. It hasn't recovered at all. They're still
they are.
they're now out of the top 10. They used to be leading the top 10.
Oh,
yeah. They
they
used to be
got
number one. Now
tanked.
they're like number 15.
Yeah.
They got absolutely tanked. So I've been saying for the longest time that the Calgary Stampede is a big event. And the last couple of years, like everywhere else, we got tanked by COVID. This is the first year in a really long time that everyone was really jonesing to go. And my town, my neck of the woods, is this like the other half of the side that went to go terrorize Ottawa for 2 weeks and had fun doing it. This opening weekend was probably the biggest weekend they've seen in about 10 to 15 years. And I guarantee you there wasn't a single Bud Light tent. I'm not saying they
Yeah.
didn't have Bud Light, they probably did, but they weren't advertising for it, which is entirely
Yeah,
different. Last year, before all this kerfluffle, there were blue tents. The beer section of this event is half the event. It is 2 blocks of beer tents. And that one last year was all Bud Light, all Budweiser. It was hard. It was Mike's Hard Lemonade this year.
There's a watering hole near me that stopped carrying Bud Light. And I asked him why. I said, is it because he's, you know, a caustic trans person or something like that? And she says, no, we just can't sell it. It just sat and sat and sat and sat, and we had to throw it away. So we didn't bother ordering anymore. I was like, yeah, kind of figured that would have. Mesh had a good point. But Budweiser should have gone with Blair White instead of Dylan. You know, that's very true. Because
Yes.
nobody really knows the controversy around Blair White, who's a normie. They would just see a pretty girl. It wouldn't even register, you know? And the people who know who Blair White would be like, yeah, you go, you know? They would be very much behind it. So that would have been a good move for them. They just went with the bad person. Not that the person is bad. I mean, they went with a bad choice.
It's not just that though. They went with the person who highlighted their opinions, their message, because Dylan at the end of the day is still a Democrat. Like he's pushing not just Democrat, but the values that are being pushed the hardest are the ones that they're trying to push. And yeah, I'm sorry, I'm tired of propaganda. I don't want propaganda anymore. Sorry, I'm not even sure that like I love Blair, but I don't even know that would have been a good move.
You don't
Like
think
for
so?
us, it would have been. I think for us, it would have been like they would have pulled it off. Like Budweiser wouldn't have gotten the ding that they would have gotten, but they would have still gotten a ding because the left that are trans or gay still knows who Blair White is. You know, like as much as we appreciate her and as much as the gay community is absolutely appreciating her a lot more right now, because I don't think that I think they're more than well aware of the fact that this move is not really good that's going on for them. Like, things aren't going the way that they'd like. I don't know if you've noticed.
If they didn't go with Dylan and went with Blair instead, it would have been a much better outcome.
It would have been a better outcome. I don't think that they would have been without like complaints though.
I think
But-
the people on the left who know who Blair White is absolutely despise her. So I think
Some of them do. Some of them do. Some of them don't.
there would have still been a bit of a backlash. It wouldn't have been to this scale because the people on the left who hate Blair White are probably not part of the core Bud Light demographic. The way that the people that they offended are the people who are like, "What are you doing with this? Man dressed as a woman," kind of thing.
It
So
depends
I think
on
they've just neglected who their actual core demographic is, and
If
they went
they-
the wrong way.
if they pulled a Blair White, I would have gone with trying to go the Harry Potter game route. Like, if they're going to complain about it, you got to get the right person to do it and be like, listen, she's gay. She's trans.
Yeah.
We already have her on the can. They just don't like her. Just do what you want to do. And in all honesty, it would have won. But that's kind of the problem. Is like, I don't think a lot of people know how to pull off the Harry Potter game move.
Yeah, I think the bigger problem, like, okay, the whole Dylan thing started it, but the lady coming out and saying we're trying to move away from our like frat boy kind of image, like, that was when the boycott really kicked into gear. Like,
Yeah,
well,
I was nailing the
we're
coffin.
not good enough for you. You're like, our money's not good enough for you. Well, fine, we'll take it somewhere else.
I think the thing with Blair is everybody in their right's going to like her. The normies watching television are not going to know she's not a girl. They're going to think she's a girl.
Yeah.
And unless she announces it, that's going to fly right over their heads. Half of the left hates her, but why do they hate her? It's not because she's trans. It's because she's conservative.
Yeah.
And the left hating the conservative, well, that's nothing new. So I can't see a downside if they would have went with her instead. Doing it now would be a big mistake. But instead of, I would have been like, yeah. I mean, Blair showed up on Tom McDonald's video, right? Big raves.
I don't pay much attention to Tom McDonald, so I didn't know that, but cool.
Like I said, it really depends on who handles it. Like, if you get the people to handle it who understand what Harry Potter did, or like even Donald Trump, because in the beginning, I don't know if the left still understands. A lot of the reason he got so much advertisement was because of them. It was because of them. The more mad they got, the more people looked into it. Like, why are you so mad? What do you do? And then they'd question it more and be like, you sound like a lunatic. And even if you didn't really prefer the guy, you were like, you know what, as opposed to you, the crazy person, yes, I'm going to pick him. And then some people were picking him just because listening to the howling was funny.
I think it's pretty simple. I think if you don't like something, don't buy it. Don't get upset that other people do like it and do buy it. Like, if someone wants to play a Harry Potter game that in your mind is horribly transphobic, fine. You don't buy it yourself. That can be, your protest, but don't ruin the lives of people who do play it just because you disagree with their. Just leave people alone.
Cannibalistic Wizard says half the left hates her because she's better looking than them.
She is, though.
It's true. It's true.
I tried to say this on Pat's stream earlier, because I don't know if we brought this up, but the girl, the trans woman in the Netherlands that won for their women's pageant, and I'm sorry, at no point when she was on that stage did I see a woman. I saw a man dressed up as a woman, and then standing next to this crowd of women that, like, okay, maybe some of them weren't as pretty, but most of them looked like women, and she didn't. At the end of the day, it was still a dude in a dress. And as much as I appreciate being kind to people who are mentally ill, I stand by my first opinion. That's not going to set a good example to young women, ever. It's not. at the end of the day, it's still not. And lying is bad. And I'm wondering if this isn't just another series of money pandering. I don't know. Like the elite, and especially when you go to Europe, the elite in Europe are weird.
Did you
Hey,
see
we're
who
all
the
colony people here.
Did you see who the runner-up was for that beauty pageant?
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy mackerel! Total smoke show. Total smoke show. And she came in second. I was like, you're out of your minds, folks. The funny thing is, when I first saw this story, I probably should have had it in the show notes. When I first saw the story, I saw the 8 contestants that were vying for the win at the end. And I just looked at each one of them, went through them, and I was like, that girl right there. She's second from the right. That was the runner-up. I picked her to win. And she was the runner-up.
I think your mistake was naively thinking they'd ever let the trans person come anything other than first.
Yeah. But I mean, looking at the 8, I didn't know she was trans. I just thought she was ugly.
Okay.
This is going to be my question for next year. If they pull this move again, is it going to be one trans person or is it going to be more than one trans person? Because if it's just one trans person next year, just know that I think this is money pandering. And it has nothing to do with trans people. Because I'm going to be real with you. Even in Denmark or wherever the Netherlands, there are way better looking trans people than that woman.
Oh yeah, I'm
Blair
sure.
White is an example of that.
Yes, she is.
You know, and I don't think it's about looks, because if that's what it was about, then she knows herself that's
no. The point is that they want you to know that, you know, the trans people are getting preferential treatment. If it was a good-looking trans person that beat out all the others, then you might be thinking, okay, maybe they just thought she was better looking. If they have an ugly person who is trans, takes the whole thing over a bunch of gorgeous biological women, then you know, look, we are prioritizing trans people. They are the superior class. Just accept it. That is the message that they're putting out. They don't want you to think that she won legitimately. They want you to know she won 100% because she was trans and not because she was good looking.
And I don't think that's fair to trans people either. Like, I'm sorry, there are absolutely really good looking trans women. And I'd love to give them a shot to have their own glory or whatever. I'm not even really into, I think most people aren't really into pageants that I know. But all the same, pageants to me remind me a little bit of the money laundering you get from artwork. And you kind of wonder if this piece of shit, the banana that was taped to a wall, if there isn't something to it. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just doing a little bit here.
The only problem I have with Blair, I like, is it, every take that she has, everything she talks about, I pretty much agree with. I don't have any problems with her at all. I have problems calling her a girl and nothing like that. The only issue I have is, and I seem to have this issue with almost every trans person I've ever heard or met, they all sound like gay men to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason.
Well, yeah, because they are men, but they haven't been able to get the voice to sound like a natural woman. Well, even Blair.
I think once your voice breaks as like a part of male puberty, it's very, very hard to
get it back.
Lose that.
Yeah. There's surgeries they could do to tighten up the vocal cords.
Oh, of course, yeah. But I think that's a fairly extreme measure.
But even people who do that, their voice pitch goes up, but they still sound like a gay man. They just sound like a gay man with a high voice.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of not only just the pitch, but the manner in which men speak is different to the way women speak.
Yeah.
And so like people who hear my voice often think I'm a woman, and like that was like constant when I was working, where they didn't see my face, they only had my voice to go by, and I'd be like getting calls from, oh yeah, can I speak to Mrs. Dimantis, please? It's like, no, that's me. But people who hear me talking a lot, like not just a phone call because I'm calling about a contract that needs help, but like something like this where you hear me talk for hours, everyone knows I'm a guy because I talk like a man. I just happen to have a higher pitched voice than most men. So the way I speak also is like a tell that I'm not a woman. That's what's giving me away. If I were to try and conceal it, I mean, like that's how people can tell that I'm a guy. It's just like the way I speak, not just the voice.
Yeah. Cannibalistic Wizard makes a point that I never thought of. Your name is Terry, which could be a woman's name. That's like a double whammy for you. It's like having Pat. Pat can be a guy or a girl.
Well, I would say, I mean, maybe it's different in America, but I've only ever seen Terry as a girl's name when it ends in an I. So Terry with an I is the girl's name. Terry with a Y has always been the man's name
in Australia because one of my favorite actresses from DS9 was Terry Farrell, Terry.
Okay, yeah, like I said, it might be different in America, but I've only ever seen Terry with a Y refer to a man and Terry with an I refer to a woman. That's just all I've seen.
There's also some stuff in chat. Keywordam brought up they have no bonus holes. I guess you heard about the bonus hole thing, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Everyone heard about that.
Yeah. And then Lisa says, only so much we can do with our voices. It's true. And like I said, they have surgery. And even that surgery is dangerous from what I understand. That if it goes wrong, you could have like vocal fry and all these bad things happen to you. So it's very risky surgery. So it's not like I expect a trans person to go through it. I wouldn't do it. Of course, it depends how much surgery you're going to want to have in the first place. But even that surgery that tightens the vocal cords, still there's something about the pacing or the intonation or something, because a person who's straight can sound like a gay person. They could put on that affectation to sound gay, but I've never seen it go the other way. I've never heard a person who has been talking that way for any length of time try to go back to talking like a straight person. It doesn't seem like they can do it.
It's also part of the reason why I'm not really for what the trans men are doing, because when they say that it's changing their voice, every time I've heard somebody talk who's had so much of the testosterone that it's broken their voice, they sound like a woman who's got a voice box, like smoked so much that they now kind of sound like they have a little bit of a voice box.
That's the vocal fry I was talking about. Yeah.
And it's not mimicking a man. And it's not wrong when you say the gestures. Like every time I see a mental freak out from a trans man, and I'm just like, listen, half the reason people can't take you seriously is because you don't even seem to know what a man is either. And it's not the wrong statement. It is going to be the question of this year isn't going to be what's a woman, what is a man? Because that's why I'm questioning a lot of these kids and these people who are like, oh, I'm trans. I'm like, I don't think you are.
My personal opinion is if you have dysphoria, you're trans.
Yeah. I think that's a sensible
that's Blair's thing. I don't know, Lisa, is that your opinion too, or do you believe that anybody can be trans and dysphoria is not an issue? I don't know what your stance is on that, but that's always been my stance. Like I know, white cis male.
Opinionated Scotsman says trans men tend to sound pretty close to men. Yeah, like if you take enough testosterone as a woman, your voice will break the same as a teenage boy's does.
Yeah,
you can't unbreak your voice, is my point.
Right.
So once your voice is broken, you can't go back to sounding like a kid. But if you're a woman and your voice never broke because their voice doesn't break, but you overdose with testosterone, then your voice will break and you'll start sounding like a man. But if you try to detransition, you won't be able to go back to sounding like a woman.
When your voice drops.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a man's voice, and that's there's a couple of YouTubers out there that detransitioned, and I can't remember the girl's name. I didn't follow her. Her content started getting all over the place, like gaming and stuff. I was like, all right, I'm not interested anymore. But she did a bunch of videos where she was talking about her detransition, and it was interesting to listen to it from her point of view. Did Lisa respond to me? I didn't see her respond. And I got to tell you, she was a very pretty girl, my kind of girl, dark hair, fair skin, light eyes. That's my aesthetic that I like the most. And her voice was still low because it's never going to come back to being a female voice again.
Right, of course.
But I got to tell you, it worked. She sounded amazing, even with a low voice. It was kind of that Ellen Barkin kind of. It wasn't quite as growly and cigarette smoky as Ellen Barkin is, but it was just low and very It just sounded sexy. And the funny thing is, she's asexual.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, here we have like a total package for me, and she doesn't want to have anything to do with sex. I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm not following you anymore. I can't handle that. It's like two separate thoughts in my mind conflicting with each other. She's hot, but she doesn't like sex. But she's hot. She doesn't like sex. It's like, what the?
Yeah.
I can't watch her anymore. Yeah, see, Lisa agrees. Yeah. So, I don't know. If there was some kind of surgery that made a trans person sound more like their sex, it would be a lot less. I think you see a lot less pushback from people. You know.
And Tia is pointing out that trans men don't understand what men go through, and that a lot of trans men regret it. And I get, because they're used to being treated as a woman, and then all of a sudden being treated as a man is quite a shocking experience.
There was a video, a guy on TikTok who was just crying, and
that's how you know he's a woman.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's not fair. Funny, but not fair. But there is a certain behavior pattern that all the transing that you try to do is not going to solve. To this day, Zoe THUR, with all the surgeries, she's been cut. She's gone the 100 miles, you know. She still acts. She doesn't speak, but she still acts like a man, especially when emotions get involved. And you saw that when she went after Ben Shapiro. Right. Yeah. She didn't say, "You're hurting my feelings," and shrink away from him like a typically like a woman would. She grabbed him by the back of the neck and said, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." It was like, how could you be any more of a man? Yeah, she threatened them. A woman wouldn't do that.
I'm also going to tell you something also that I've noticed that's different between somebody who is coming across as legitimately trans and somebody that I think is not either not being honest with themselves, or they're playing it. They're playing it really hard. And the reason is, women do have a natural instinct. I can tell when you're going through something. Like if I'm talking to somebody who is body dysmorphic, they're trying to act with the gestures that I am. They aren't like, they might compete with me, but they're still trying to copy what I'm doing because they're trying to blend in with what I'm doing. Somebody who's just there grifting, or they don't understand any of that stuff, like they're just, I kind of like all the attention you get for transitioning. They don't have that gesture of paying attention. They aren't being sensitive to the situation, and you can tell. It's like spotting. It's just, you just point yourself out like a big bright crayon when they do it. When somebody's being a bit of a creeper, maybe the women aren't screaming right away because they're like judging whether or not the situation is real or if their brain is making shit up. Believe it or not, women do question all the time whether or not they're making it up. Like, what the fuck is this? Is this guy actually doing that? And you look at everybody else around you, be like, is anybody else noticing this? And that's where you gaslight yourself into thinking this is normal. And so when I see a guy, like one of the images I remember seeing from last week was a trans woman. It was a pervert going into the ladies' bathroom. He's all dressed up to the nines, and he's got his camera out, and he's erect. He's absolutely erect. There is no doubt in my mind that every woman who saw him walk in should have flipped out within a few seconds of seeing him. Not because he's an awkward dude who's trying to blend in, but everything about his gestures was like, this person is a fucking liar, and they should be shamed for being a fucking liar. Does that mean I think that somebody should pick on somebody who's dysmorphic? I'm sorry, at the end of the day, you are going to have Karens who mix up the two. You are just going to have Karens who are going to mix up the two. Because once you've seen the one, you can't unsee the one. That's also female instincts.
I was born.
It is ignoring those instincts that is leading to so many of these weirdos going into places where they shouldn't be. And I honestly do have a lot of fear for my trans friends, because those ones are actually causing a lot of problems. Like, I can't unsee that guy.
I can't unsee the dress and I can't unsee the erection. And I know that he was videotaping women so he could get off. And once a woman sees that, they're going to look at you and they're going to assess you. And if you aren't giving off those gestures, yeah, I'm sorry, they're going to freak out. That's why I don't like these trans activists, because they don't seem to understand that. They aren't willing to admit that that's a problem.
I think they understand perfectly well. They just won't admit it because it's inconvenient to their ideology.
It's inconvenient, or they're aware of it. Yeah. And it reminds me of parts of the worst parts of Christianity was when people knew that there were bad priests. Because even people who are from the church know this. Like that's part of the reason people get so frustrated, is because they know that this stuff happened, and they know that these people got away with it, and they know that they're still getting away with it. And it's the same gaslighting where they're like, don't look this way, don't look this way. And we're like, we are looking at you and we want to hang you.
Yeah, I think you need to be honest about the bad actors. Like, if you're going to say, every single trans person is an angel who would never do anything wrong, then, well, one, that's not true, but also, like, that's not convincing. No one is going to believe that, and they know that you're lying, and you're doing the whole community a disservice by trying to peddle that lie. I don't think it accomplishes anything.
I also could see stuff like that legitimately traumatizing people. Like, and I'm sorry, Lisa, I'm going to call you out, because I could see that traumatizing you. Having someone go into the bathroom, pull that shit in front of you would traumatize you just as much as it would me. I'm sorry, but is it somebody who's understanding dysmorphia the way I am starting to understand it? That would traumatize me a bit. Like, you are mocking me, is what I would think. And then I'd be like, holy shit, I feel threatened, because that's also what women go through. It's unintentional. Like, you shouldn't even feel threatened. It's just a dude with a chubby. Like, you should just kick him in the balls and run. But, we have laws.
Got a couple of people in chat. First of all, our Thursday night host, Johnny Hellcat. Always, every time I hear Johnny's name, I want to do the Tombstone Johnny Ringo. When Doc Holliday calls him by name, he always says Johnny Ringo. I always want to do Johnny Hellcat, but I keep stopping myself. Kashel has also joined us in chat. I'm going to put a link into the chat from the Minions account so that it stands out a little bit. So you'll see it pop up here in a moment. That is the detransition I was telling you about.
Okay.
Her name is Ryan. And I'm not sure if she picked that name. I don't know the backstory of it. I don't know if she picked that name because that was her boy name, or if she's been a girl named Ryan her entire life. I don't know. But there's another name that could go both ways. It could be female or male.
No, I've only ever heard Ryan as a boy's name.
Okay. There's a girl I went to college with. Her name was Ryan.
But she should have been.
But if you check out the channel, she goes by Supervillain Salty is her handle on Twitter. But if you check her out, you'll see what I mean. She's very almost vampire white skin, like dark hair, like almost black.
I like V, so I'm probably gonna like Super V even more. That stands for reason.
So yeah, if you guys get a chance to see what I was talking about, she's just I can't follow her because she drives my brain crazy. But that's the person I was talking about.
I think Camel and Frosted are sharing their notes in chat. They both said the same thing.
Somebody stepped on your grave. It's a great movie. I know you guys, neither one of you are huge movie people, but Tombstone's like got to be in my top 5. If it's not close to number, I think Top Gun will always be my number 1, the original Top Gun, just because it has everything. And the only reason it's not, the only thing that could challenge it would be the Hunt for Red October. But the reason I like Top Gun better is because Top Gun also had a love interest, and Hunt for Red October never did. So that's what beats it. But I got to say, Tombstone could easily be 3.
No, I think they're overlooking The Room. The Room is obviously number 1.
See, the reason I can't claim to like any of those movies is because I've never finished a full movie. Like every time I've gone to watch something of a movie from any of those franchises, it's been in clips. So like I like the clips, but I've never watched the whole thing. Do I understand what the story was about? Yes, believe it or not, from like 20 minutes of any of those movies, you get the gist of what's going on in the movie.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of those 3 movies, so yeah, they're not on my radar. But I mean,
You've
I
never
can
seen
believe
those 3 movies? Really?
Nope. Nope.
Holy mackerel, you too. You too.
But I will say from the clips that I saw, you could tell that there was a reason behind why they were good movies. I just, like everything else on the list of things that I should do, the list just gets longer. And I'm like, I don't think I have time for this list anymore. I'm just going to pretend like the clip I saw was enough because it was still good. And if it shows up on TV, I'll give it another shot and hope that nothing interrupts it.
Well, they all have their flavors. Top Gun's very much an 80s blockbuster movie kind of deal. So it's, eat your popcorn, watch it, sip your soda, kind of watch that movie. It's going to be, and it's fairly intense. Hunt for October is a little bit more drama, a little bit more suspense kind of deal. And then Tombstone's basically a Western. But there's a lot of things about Tombstone that stick out differently from the other 2 movies. They didn't have enough money to finish the movie, so Kurt Russell paid for the rest of the movie to get it made out of his own pocket. Things that people don't know about that movie. He actually paid for it.
I do like when stuff like that happens. Like the only reason that I think it was Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail, or maybe it was Life of Brian, one of those 2. The only reason it ended up existing is because George Harrison wanted to see the movie, so he funded it.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, it's like he even described it as the most expensive movie ticket he's ever bought.
Well, they literally ran out of money making Tombstone. So if he didn't kick in, it wasn't going to be finished. So he said, this movie is too good.
Yeah. It was something similar with Monty Python, where like they didn't have the budget to make the movie, and then George Harrison was like, "I want to see this movie. I'll bankroll it." And it's like, thanks. And so yeah, it's entirely George Harrison. Well, not entirely, but largely George Harrison's, money that got one of those movies made, which is pretty cool.
Well, the people in the movie are notable people. There's Kurt Russell, who plays Wyatt Earp. Val Kilmer plays Doc Holliday. Your Huckleberry. Sam Elliott plays Virgil. Bill Paxton plays Morgan. I mean, that's their top 4 right there. These are like really high caliber actors. So it would be hard to make a bad movie with that lineup. So if I were to say, I gave you those 3 movies, I would say Galaxy Quest is in there somewhere for me, 3, 4, or 5 in my list. And I'd probably have to be bound by my Trekkie background to throw some Star Trek in there somewhere as the 5th movie to round out. Probably Wrath of Khan. That would probably have to be in there somewhere. But if I were to recommend a movie for everybody to see, go see Tombstone. Even though it's not my number 1 and it's probably not my number 2. It's just a lot of everything in it. There's a lot of everything. There's a lot of suspense. There's a lot of intrigue. There's a lot of planning. There's a love story. It's got everything, and it's set against a Western background.
Assassin in chat has confirmed it was Life of Brian was the one George Harrison funded.
See,
there you go.
I'm so bad with movies that I had to look it up, but I couldn't remember which Mel Brooks movie was based off of Tombstone. I wasn't sure if Blazing Saddles was.
Blazing Saddles.
But I really do gotta watch that one because I didn't really realize that Gene Wilder was in there. I'm like, God, there's a lot of movies I missed.
Keeberdam says I like Mean Girls. I like that movie too. Have you guys seen that one?
Yeah,
No.
It was better than I expected it to be.
All right, good. You guys saw a movie I saw.
I did mean to give it a shot because I did hear that it wasn't bad, but I just moved out of home. I was on a movie strike. I was like, I don't really want to watch the movies right now because I don't want to spend my money on that garbage because it's my money now.
I watched Mean Girls for the exact same reason that I watched Fight Club. I saw so many people quoting it and referencing it on the internet that I had to see the movie to know what the fuck they were talking about.
Well, if that's true, then you've probably seen The Princess Bride.
Yes.
And Spaceballs.
Yes.
Because they are like
like
the two most quoted movies on the planet.
I didn't like Spaceballs. I realize I'm in a minority there, but I did not.
It was all right. It was all right. She went from suck to blow. It has some good lines.
It wasn't the funniest movie. I actually kind of liked Robin Hood better than I did Spaceballs, but I have a special place in my heart.
Men in Tights, presumably.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant.
We're men,
I mean, the one with
Men in Tights.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to do that when what's his face was doing his run on Netflix and going to war with Netflix, or not Netflix, but with the trans crowd. Chris. No, it wasn't Chris Rock. I keep getting him confused. God dang it.
Dave
Chappelle. Dave Chappelle. Damn it, Dave. I'm sorry, Dave. I keep doing that to you.
What they're talking about Blazing Saddles is Blazing Saddles was based on the existence of Tombstone the town. It wasn't based on Tombstone the movie. That's what they're talking about. But Blazing Saddles was based on the whole mythos of Tombstone the town. Yes.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's kind of the basis of a lot of their spoofs, though. Like, I mean, Robin Hood Men in Tights was, it was based off of Robin Hood, but sure, it was, yeah.
Well,
Men in Tights.
Loosely.
Totally.
It was a comedy based on...
Yeah, like, that's the point. That's kind of what I mean. But like, it's also just how many times he got so many really good actors to play these movies. I appreciate people who'll do that. Like, I will give you credit as an actor just for having fun with a movie every once in a while.
They're still quoting Camel. I'm a Mog, half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend. Spaceballs, the flamethrower. There's so many. You come to the desert, we ain't found shit. There's so many great. Oh no, another Druish princess. You know, there's so many quotes in that movie. The whole thing with the lock for his luggage.
Yeah.
The number is 1, 2, 2. I'm surrounded by assholes. I mean, there's just so many quotes in that movie. I think that and Princess Bride are probably the two most quotable movies, in my opinion.
Princess Bride was actually pretty good. I did like that one.
Yeah. Another movie that had everything. You know, Fire Swamp, You've Been Mostly Dead All Day, To Blave, He's To Bluff. I mean, you know, why didn't you count that amongst the Suicide Club? Why didn't you count that amongst our assets? I mean, there's so many quotable parts in that movie. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I refuse to accept any remake of The Princess Bride because The Princess Bride had Andre the Giant, and as much as they want to crap on him for being a white man, he was also a white man with a like that. The reason he was a giant was because of a disorder. There was probably
everyone who's that tall has a disease.
Yeah, and
Andre
so
was beloved.
Yeah,
really was.
So they can't fuck with his character, and I don't care. They can suck a bag of dicks as many as they want. Just don't touch Andre.
He just got the line from Princess Bride. Inconceivable. I don't think that word means what you think it means.
It means what you think it means.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
Both saying the same thing.
Oh, there were so many funny quotes in there. It's just...
What you don't know is I'm also right-handed.
Yeah, I'm not left-handed either. And then he switches hands and he starts winning.
Dream of large women.
I did like Princess Bride. I actually saw it as a kid, and the scene with the poison where he tricks the guy in.
Never go up against a stallion when death is on the line.
Yeah, I love that scene so much as a kid.
Oh, it's so funny.
To the point where I remember the scene, but not which movie it came from. It wasn't until I was an adult and rewatched The Princess Bride, like, oh, this is that scene. Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I spent my entire life building up a resistance to iocane powder.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty funny. We're off on movies. Didn't we get off on movies last week too? Because I got
I think it was music last week.
Was it music last week? We're gonna be next week is games. You're gonna have to take the lead on it. Make sure we cover everything.
What
It's
is
nine.
EP9 for?
It's 9:56. So the show's almost over, and I got so involved in talking about this, I haven't even run the music poll yet. We get to run it, make a quick selection, and then close the show. All right, let me set up the poll. You guys go ahead, talk. I'll set up the poll. We didn't talk about anything about Tucker or Martha.
Well,
whatever.
We talked very briefly about Tucker, where we basically agreed it was a softball interview, but that's not a problem. We didn't talk anything about the heat wave, but there's not really that much to say. It's hot down there, so hopefully things will, cool down.
Raising.
To get to a more reasonable temperature, it'll be fine.
It's not hot down there. I was watching Archer before the show, so that's the reason why.
It is pleasantly toasty down in Texas. What are you talking about?
Well, I've heard that there's a certain course of action you should take when it's getting hot in here. So everyone go consult Nelly for advice.
It's like they swear that the Hawaiian lotion that they're selling for the suntans, it totally doesn't smell like barbecue sauce. I don't know what you're talking about.
And Frosted says that Carrie Always is better in comedies than dramas, and I would agree with that because
he did okay in Twister.
The example Frosted is giving is Saw, and yeah, I think Saw is not his best performance. I do like him better as a comedic actor.
Yeah, he was in Twister, and he was pretty good playing the asshole in Twister. For much as a nice guy he is, and very Errol Flynn and all that kind of stuff, and the blonde hair and an attractive guy, all that kind of stuff, he played a really good asshole in that movie, Twister. Have you seen it?
Twister, no.
Yeah, it's who's the girl who plays it? Bill Paxton is in that one.
Wasn't it Helen Hunt, the girl from
it was Bill Paxton. Yeah, it was Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt were the two, and Terry Ellis was the bad guy. And he copied some kind of patent on the technology that they use to track tornadoes. And the other two hated him because he did that. He went to get corporate funding and came up with his own design and blah, 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 and stole their technology. He ended up, the movie's old enough now. I figure I could probably spill the spoilers, but he gets sucked up. I think so. He gets sucked up by a tornado. Yeah. So in the end,
I did see the Nostalgia Critics video on Twister because I went through a phase where I watched all of Doug's videos. Mm-hmm. So that is my only knowledge of the movie is, what Doug said in his video. So that's how I knew it was Helen Hunt, and that's how I recognized when you started talking about Carrie Always being in it. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that now.
I think I mentioned this last week, and I'm still kind of a little bit proud of myself for mentioning this idea to some Americans, Terry, because sometimes when I want to science a project, I'll mention it to them because they're more brave and they have more resources. But my town had a tornado on Canada Day, and I was like, so that's why we didn't have fireworks, because we're sensible. And then I was like, hey, US, have you ever shot fireworks at a tornado? And then I looked it up on the YouTubes and didn't see anything. I was like, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I just haven't found a video yet. And I mentioned that to more than a few chats for different groups of people that I knew were Americans, just to see if maybe they had a video. Be like, have you ever heard of someone doing it? And they're not yet, but you will. And I was oh, that's how you science in Canada. You just mention your ideas to the US and let them do it. But no, seriously, I don't actually know that that's necessarily a good idea. Like, I don't necessarily think it'll do anything. It might just blow away and do fuck all, or you might burn a town down. I don't know. But there is a thing as a fire tornado. That one I do know exists because
I've seen videos for fire tornadoes.
Yeah, California.
Yeah.
Cannibalistic Wizard over on Rumble, I just noticed, he said 8-Legged Freaks is his favorite movie, followed by Tremors 1, Jurassic Park, Tremors 2, and then The Lost World. And then he also says that Jaws was good.
Yeah, Jaws was a good movie. I mean, I think it'd be a different movie now than it was then because it's an older movie. It was like 78 or something like that, 1978.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. But in 78 it was like, wow, this is crazy. So Have you guys heard of the new Mission Impossible coming out? It's a
I've heard of
two-parter.
it. Yeah.
A
Mhm.
two-parter.
Oh,
So-
is that what he did? Okay.
Yeah.
I just know that Hollywood is really pissed off at Tom Cruise because he's making money.
I don't know the specifics of like who's in it or what it's about, but I have heard mention of Mission Impossible, like another one being made.
Hey, Cougar Knife. Spoiler alert, reported and blocked. Okay.
Yep.
Not sure what that's about.
For the
No, that's
record,
because you gave away the ending to Twister.
Oh, okay.
for the record, I don't think that Tom Cruise is necessarily a good guy, nor do I give a shit about his politics. I also think that his involvement in his church is creepy. Like I do. I think that involvement from him was creepy, but I don't give a shit as long as he makes good movies and he stays the fuck away out of my life. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I'm very good at separating the art from the artist. I don't care what kind of a person they are. If I like their performance, I like their performance. There's two completely unrelated things to me. Like
So-
I can watch a Kevin Spacey movie without thinking there's that prick who like but he abused that guy. It's like, nah, I don't think about that when I'm watching the movie. It's like I don't like Kevin Spacey the human. I like the Kevin Spacey the actor.
Yeah. Assassin says Tom Cruise is making money with the wrong kind of movies that are pro-America, which is true. So, I mean, Top Gun and now Mission Impossible. So that's true. The only thing I have about that is if Tom Cruise makes money and it goes in his pocket, part of his pocket then goes into Scientology.
Mhm.
Well, yeah.
So if you're watching his movie, you're just kind of funding Scientology at the same time.
Yeah, but like most of those big name actors are Scientologists. It's just part of the course.
I just call it out for what he is. Like I acknowledge that's true. That if you pay him money, yeah, he's probably doing something in Scientology with it. But as long as it stays out of my life, I don't care. Like, should I? I don't know with them.
Like I like the TV show My Name Is Earl. I don't care that everyone in that show, like all the actors, are Scientologists. That means nothing to me. I wouldn't want to be Jason Lee's friend in real life, but I mean, the show was still good. I still enjoyed watching it.
As long as they don't vote for shit that favors their beliefs, which I stand by with every religion, and I do. I mean that towards Christianity, all of them. I'm not going to list them all. There's only so much time on the show, but I mean that with that. Like, if you want to practice your own beliefs and you're kind of a weird culty-like group, by all means do that. But if we find out that you're doing bad things to children, kind of like the regular church, I want to hold you accountable. And I mean that for the church too. If you were caught bad touching children, I want you to be hanged. Just do it. People keep saying women are nice. I'm like, everything else we've tried doesn't seem to work. So let's go back to the shit that did.
Has everybody had a chance to vote for their?
I
There,
didn't, I should.
You should.
It looks like 12 people have voted, and we've got 12 likes on my screen, so I'd say everyone's voted.
Except for Jen.
And Clippers United says all the actors of My Name Is Earl were Scientologists. I know Jason Lee, Ethan Suplee, and was it Michael Rappaport was in it? I think, but like a whole bunch of those actors were like good friends, and they like all Scientologists.
Yeah, it's a weird religion, but there are plenty out there that are doing a lot more harm than he is. So,
well, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, as long as if they're doing bad things to people, call that out, chase that shit down, stop them from doing that. But if they're not doing that, I can't really tell them what to do.
Apart from like the diehards like Tom Cruise, I think Scientology is mostly just a fake religion so that they can donate money for tax write-offs. Like, I don't think it's very common for people to legitimately believe the tenets of Scientology. You get crazies like Tom Cruise, sure, but I think most of the people who are Scientologists are doing it for tax reasons.
yeah, Val Kilmer is a Scientologist. John Travolta is a Scientologist.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there in Hollywood that are into
Of course,
Scientology.
yeah.
So, how you doing on time, Jen? You okay?
Yeah, so far I'm good.
Are you hungry, Terry?
Yeah, I am, but it's fine. Keith also mentioned that Jaws is from 1975. She
Yeah, there you go.
found the year.
What did I say? 78?
Something like that, 78,
Yeah.
79.
Something around
Something in
there.
that region.
You know, I could see what Terry's seeing as being true too. Like, I could see a lot of them being the type where, like, this is their spaghetti monster that gets them tax write-offs.
Yeah.
Sure.
But all the same, like I said, as long as they're not doing bad things with their spaghetti monster, I don't care. And most people in those groups are just there for the spaghetti monster. I want the ones that are not for the spaghetti monster.
Well,
Separate the two.
Keith says it's gotten people killed. And yeah, if you legitimately believe it and you don't, like, you turn down medical help because it's against your religion, then yes, I mean, you will die as a result of your religious beliefs. But I stand by it. I don't think the majority of people who subscribe to Scientology are like legitimate devotees of the orthodoxy. I think they just can donate to a quote unquote church for tax purposes.
I think every religion has its weird stuff. I mean, you're Jewish, you can't eat pork.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
And no Frosted. I haven't seen Battlefield Earth. I do want to.
Oh my God!
would
No, you
watch
don't.
it.
No, you don't. Awful.
And no, I know it's awful. That's why I want to watch it.
Oh, because you like the
It's-
room. It makes sense.
It's like going to see Godzilla. Like, the last one I saw was in the 2015 one. And it was terrible, but it was exactly what I was hoping for from a Godzilla movie. Because I'm sorry, I liked the part where the original Godzilla was campy. I liked the fact that it was a low budget Japanese film where they had crappy costumes. It was funny. When I was a kid, I thought the whole thing was amusing. It took terror out of what was supposed to be a scary film.
You know what movie has to be made that has been made yet? I'm just waiting for someone to come along and say, we should probably make this movie. Ultraman.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that was a very beloved Japanese TV show, popular in America. You know, considering what you can do today with technology, bringing Ultraman to life, holy mackerel, that would be an amazing movie.
See, I just think no more movies should be made. I think Hollywood has proven that they can't be trusted.
There's a reason why I have a bunch of movies on my NAS drive is because I'm not too terribly concerned with the woke movies that they're making now. I'll watch old stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I do have hope for the future. Like, I know I'm leaning a little bit on this finding freedom thing, but here's the thing that they proved yet again, not just to Hollywood, but to the rest of America, which is giving information to investors. It's saying, look, this low budget film that the media really seems to hate a lot, made a shit ton of money. And they didn't use like $250 million, or sorry, $250 million. Sorry, we live in current times. $250 million, if not more, to put out crap. You know, like a lot of the movies that they're pushing now, like they are so much CGI. They are so like they're using so much money for crap. And the writers are crap. And nobody likes it. Like, even internationally, they're like, yeah, hard pass. We're going to go to Korea. You know, Koreans seem to make better movies than you. You know, they're going to let the Philippines have a little try. And I'm okay with that because, you know, they're putting some pretty good actors, actually. Because here's the thing. I don't give a shit about what the actor looks like. I like the film to be good. So if the actors are good and the writing's good and the story's pretty good, I don't give a shit what they look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, me neither.
I've got plenty of movies that I haven't seen already on my NAS. I literally, at least 2/3, if not 3/4 of the movies that I have not watched. So I have literally years of movie watching to give Hollywood a chance to become unwoke before I have to worry about it. And they're still doing, like you said, they're still doing movies like Tom Cruise movies that are still kind of American based. Mm-hmm. So, you know, every once in a while, a good American movie will come by. I'll watch it, but I haven't seen I never saw Lightyear. I didn't see Elementals. I didn't see the fish with the what's the one with the black girl playing mermaid, Little
Yeah,
Mermaid,
Little Mermaid.
Yeah, didn't see that. All the woke stuff I just haven't bothered with. The last movie I
It's
saw that was worth seeing was Maverick.
the other thing that's pissing them off with Tom Cruise is his name will always draw in a crowd. Even wokies who want to hate on him for being a white billionaire, he's talented. He's good at entertaining. So he's going to bring in eyes, even if it's just to judge the film. And every time they try to peddle one of their crap movies, somebody's pushing out a movie at the same time and they win all the money. And so they're losing all their investment money. And so I'm okay with that. You know what, Tom? If you want to do 10 movies for the next 10 years, because you never seem to age anyway,
He
you're going to
doesn't.
be in your 80s and still look like you're like 40 or something. So go have at her.
Yeah, the last time I went to the movies, like out to the movies, to the cinema, was South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. So it's been a while.
Yeah, that's a good. That was a good movie. Adam
It
says
was.
in chat, I want to see Sounds of Freedom. Have you guys heard about that movie?
Yeah, I have. I actually would like to see it. Yeah, I would too.
Hey, six
I
is in chat.
I don't want to see any movies unless like they're 40 plus years old, basically.
It's more of a documentary than I would say just a film, because it is really kind of based off of a true story. So I don't know that you would necessarily like the style anyway, but I kind of want to watch it for both reasons. Both because if it gives me an insight to what's kind of going on somewhere, it's not the same pedo group, but it is a group, you know, and that tangle goes a long ways. And I appreciate that they peddled that movie, and I actually appreciate that the voices involved are still big names. Like, even if they've been out of the scene for a long time, that tells me that their politics are at war. You know, the people who are really in bed with the Democrats and the WF, it's clear that they're at odds with other people who are right up there. And the reason I say this is this is coming from I'm looking at this from a Alex Jones perspective. These are the billionaires fighting with each other. These are the people who have the kind of money where they could be a sociopath buying the most interesting thing, which might be something illegal, like what we're talking about, you know? And so I think that anything that puts a spotlight on that, I want to support it, you know?
Yeah.
And
I'm glad the movie exists, but
yes.
I don't know if I want to let that into my brain.
Yeah.
But my understanding is the movie was really well done. You might end up crying though, because that exactly what you just said. A lot of people in the review section said the same thing that you just said, Hammer.
Yeah, I mean, if I have my choice of going out to see the next Iron Man movie or a movie about pedophilia, I'm probably going to go for the Iron Man movie. You know?
I think most people would make that decision. Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm glad the movie exists. I'm glad it's having an impact, and I like seeing what it's doing the political sphere. So I'm glad to see all that happening. But I don't know if I really want to. It's like someone trying to convince me to watch Cuties, and I know they're different. I know they're different, but it's still.
It's still making you aware of the truth of what's going on, which is something you don't want to dwell on. But at the same time, though, as much as they're mad at this movie, Mario's still doing fine. It's been going on for almost over a month now since they released Super Mario, right? And that movie they were so pissed off about. And since they shut up about it, you know what it's doing? It's still making money. So I can see Mario beating out everybody at the end of the year, and I don't think it was a great movie. I think it was okay, and I think it looked fun.
Frosted points out that he's not sad.
Yeah.
And that reminded me of the Andrew Tate interview where he made repeated references.
Yeah.
He would never kill himself.
He said it like maybe 8 to 10 times throughout the.
Yeah,
it wasn't like he said it a bunch of times in a row. He spaced it out every 15, 20 minutes. He said it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Epstein was the thing.
it links to a lot of stuff. And yeah, like I said, that goes into levels of Alex Jones that I'm not going to repeat, as well as the people I've heard tell me about it or explain it to me, or the things I've read. It's a lot of stuff that I've explained before, that like sometimes I think I see things on the internet that I distance myself from immediately because I question what it is and I don't want it on my computer, if that makes sense. You know, like there are certain people that I wouldn't follow because I question them. Like I bring up Jeffrey Marshall all the time, but yes, I do point at him because I would never go to his Patreon. His Patreon would terrify me based off the content. God. I would be worried about links to something that, yeah, I don't know. And I don't want it on my computer. So I appreciate when other people are brave in doing that, because I don't know the legal laws in other places. I don't know what it's like in England. I don't know if there's like a buffer wall for I thought they were and I wanted to report them. I was looking to report them. I don't know how they are when it comes to, I don't know. And I don't want it on my computer. I don't want to be talking to a police officer or a lawyer because I wasn't sure.
I'm sure
that'd be a fun conversation.
I'm sure Raja Mahan is watching our broadcast very intently right now. Raja Mahan. We should probably get out of here before I get the channel taken down. What do you think?
Right? Like Rumble, I'm like, honestly, there's no rules on, like, I wasn't sure, so I wanted to report it. Oh, we're coming to claim you and your computer. We're gonna have a long talk with you. I don't want to have that experience. Thanks.
FBI, everyone on the ground. So the winner for the poll tonight, you guys keep shocking me with your choices. I pick songs I think they'll never take this one. They'll never lose this one. And you guys keep picking the ones I think you're not going to pick. Tonight's exit song is Ace of Base.
Wow. Okay.
I know. I was like, what's that all about? So anyway, I guess we should probably get to it. Thanks, fam, as always, for chatting with us tonight. Very active chat tonight. That was pretty awesome. If you can't wait for next Wednesday's show, remember the meeting is alive every evening, including weekends, with most shows starting around 11:30 p.m. Eastern, 7 days a week. Host and start times are linked in the description down below. Don't forget our pre-show on Rumble. That stream starts around 8:30-ish, depending when everyone gets here. We will be back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. as usual. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll see you again next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys and gals.